welcome to another purveyor of Lightroom quick tip. This week we're going to show you how to do a really simple vintage look right in Lightroom. No special plugins or anything needed. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so first thing I do is in Lightroom, under the basic tab, we're going to go into profiles, and let's pick a profile to start our look. And vintage 10 is a nice look. So there's your before, there's your after. A nice vintage look to start out with, and Lightroom did all the work for us on that. Okay, next thing is we're going to need to fine tune it with a tone curve a little bit. And for the tone curve, I want to do like a lifted S curve. Okay, it's lifted on the left side because we want to fade the blacks a little bit, and we're going to flatten the whites a little bit. Other than that, it's just basically an S curve. And so the before and after, you can see what a big difference it makes in contrast and so forth. Okay, so moving on. All right, so our next thing is going to be some color grading. And we're going to do some simple color grading. We are going to do some red in the shadows. And so I'm going to do some red in the shadows, but not too much. Okay, and I'm doing this all by eye, but that red in the shadows really does a nice number. And maybe I'm going to take it in a little more to lessen the effect. All right, and then what we're going to introduce green into the highlights. And so we're going to do that, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're done with the color grading, and here's your before and your after. And so it's really starting to get that good vintage look. And lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to work with a mask. We're going to do a luminous range, okay? And that's because I want this effect to work on certain parts of the image, okay, and not the others. So luminous, from the shadows, and then I want to introduce some grain. So let's see what we can do. All right. So we're going to come down. We're going to adjust. We're going to go onto the detailed area. Okay, so we're going to do it. We're going to look for the effects area. And we have details. So under effects, we're going to bring in some grain, because we want to have some grain, natural film grain that goes in. And we're not going to do too much, but we are going to introduce quite a bit of grain. Okay, maybe about there. That looks pretty good. And the size, we will make the grain size a little bit bigger. That's not bad. And the roughness, okay? And again, this is totally subjective, but for you, I'm just going to do, let's see, pretty close off that. It looks pretty good. And again, the before and the after. And that's looking really good. Okay? So the next thing I want to do is I want this to be separated, okay, into just certain parts of the photo, the luminance range, right? And so I'm going to turn on the mask so you can see what I'm doing here. All right? And what I'm doing is I'm just sliding it so that I'm isolating the grain into the shadows. Okay? And not so much into the highlights. Makes a nice vintage look. And there we go. I think that's a fantastic look right there. So the before and the after. And I think we've taken it back all the way in time to a nice vintage film look. And we did it with minimal effort. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. Till next week, you guys take care.